What is up, the world of the living? My name is LoXP and welcome back to Truly Bedrock. My friends, last time we've helped Lyarrah get her Elder Guardian. The time before that we tortured a bunch of our server friends on the Francus mansion, but today we're finally back, over in the town of Moonfall, ready to analyze whatever my scientists have come up with in the time I've been away, and whatever solution they come up with for the entire moon crisis, because if I remind you, this is what we've been actually hiring them for. What is going on here? Okay, so it seems there has been a little mix-up in who does what and the amount of villagers, and all of my mating guys seem to be still here, but there's suddenly a bunch of other people also in here, and it's all confusing. It's all weird. Also, the only solution the mending guys figured out so far is the moon's shouldn't be like that. Probably bad that it's broken. So yeah, I get the feeling this is not how it's supposed to be. Point is, I gave the guys a couple of minutes, well, a couple of days, to sort it out, get their new roommates out of the flipping house, or else they're grounded. By which I mean they will be grounded into flipping bone meal. But, they do have a point. They do have a point. We really do have too many villagers in there. Too many villagers in there, and too little houses for those villagers to live outside of the council and the fabric, the manufactory, the birch atrocity of sugarcane and kelp and also melons. Point being, all of these people, they work in the factory, they work in the council. They don't have anywhere to actually live, and in the meantime, if you excuse me for a second, there's FoxyNoTail, who didn't even have a ground to build his base on last time I checked. And now look at it! It's all finished. Well, not finished. Well, it's nice and cozy, and an entire town. It's an entire little farming village over here with several houses and several shops, and he's absolutely beating me at my own game. And yeah, if you know me, you know I'm a jealous one. Well, not a jealous, I'm an envious one. And you know I will not let this stand. So today I think we'll diverge our attention from the actual, celestial trouble and start working on our next big project. We'll start on actually making our base super presentable. So much so that Foxy's one will be just nothing by comparison. Naturally, first things first, I need to build a giant spoiler wall between our bases so I don't have to watch his one every time I'm walking around mine. So I don't have to feel bad about how unfinished my own is. This here is the approximate border between our bases. We established it first day, essentially, ever since we got enough iron to put together a lot of lanterns. That's where I put together this border, so Foxy knows that this is his side, this is my side, and as long as my giant wall of walliness is on my side, I am on every right to put it together and to actually not have to look at his much better than mine base. Everything is fine, trust me, this is perfectly legal. And that should be the last of my sand. Yep. And yeah, because I'm a professional Minecrafter, I've built the spoiler wall out of sand and not dirt, because guess what? There's something you can do with sand, and that is, boop! And look how easily removable it is! I won't even have to spend my shovel's durability. But I will have to spend another, couple of minutes putting this one stripe down. Oh, this is going to be super satisfying to remove afterwards, by the way. I'm very much looking for it. Mostly because by that point, I feel my base will be impressive enough that it will be like a really cool reveal for Foxy too. Okay, let's double check, double see what we are looking for. Last episode I drained that lake because I was tired of drones spawning in it. Like just drowned and zombies and skeletons all congregating in that stupid lake. Now it's gone. So this is now also real estate, essentially. We can cover it in more dirt and grass. We can take out all the clay out of it. We can make it into a giant hole in the ground, whatever we want to do. But first I want to do something with the area I already am occupying. So particularly that bit behind the portal will be a little bit of a headache, but I already pretty much know what to do with it. This bit here is a little bit of brain twister because I created it, but I didn't actually have a plan for it. And finally, that area here-ish is something I actually already... Oh, no. I already know what to do with. So, just first things first. Whenever you build a town, you want to figure out something about what age of progress, at the very least, it is taking place. This here is an industrial town. It has been... Moonfall has been built around the idea of the council by me in particular, but more or less by people who already were in the know that they will be employed either at the factory or at the council. So as a result, all the industry that we will need for it is already, comes built in. Meaning that if I would create some sort of a barracks for the workers from here, I would create them here, here, and here, around the area where this would be like a light jog in the morning. They wouldn't have to take a bus, is my point. And that sounds really reasonable. That sounds really nice and something that's more more factories should do. Some living quarters. At the same time, I don't know what to do with the area behind the portal because it is covered by a giant portal. The giant slab that is the behind of this portal is tiny bit very annoying. But there is another hunch as to what to do with this area, and that is the closeness of it to the border between my area and Foxy's one. And Foxy's area, mind you, is a giant farm house. It's a house on a farm. And what do cities and towns need? Well, produce. Meaning that if I would to place a produce a produce market anywhere in here, it would be on the border between the farmhouse and the farming area and the actual town, implying that the villagers of the town are getting their produce from Foxy specifically. Even though his thing is a little bit too modern for my gas lamp steampunk feel around, but we'll make it work. It will look fine. Okay, so to reiterate, farmers market for people to buy produce from, a residential area over there, some sort of a scientific bit around here to prolong the entire idea of the council being basically a university, and a ton of infrastructure in between. We'll see how that works, but right now that we have figured out the actual zoning of it, we might want to first and foremost mark it out with actual blocks, and second, establish a palette, which is something that we already done, but it is also still something that needs to be done on top of it. I hope I am making sense to you. We're in a creative copy of the world on my single player, which you can tell by me being in creative, the lake still being there, and the diorite being diamonds because of flipping course. So, one of the worst things you can do if you are trying to build a town, at the very least if it's not a modern one, and even if it is modern one, is to flatten out a large area. Like, that is generally frowned upon by me. And I am the one recording this, so whatever. Point being, the Minecraft terrain is actually really good at kind of navigating you and guidelining you into building particular buildings around it and like adapting to it and all that kind of stuff. Too bad some idiot couple of months ago decided, hey, why don't I flatten out this entire area? Yeah, why not? That's a great idea. Actually, this already was a plains biome, so this area was more or less already flat. Point being, I have planned out, despite everything, a couple of pretty interesting buildings. The red ones are the residential district. This is where everybody will be living. and the blue one is just a general area for the market. I'm thinking that this is gonna be more of a market stall type of market rather than established shops type of market, but we can always expand into the lake. That sounds so stupid, but it's true. Yeah, we can always expand into the lake if you want more actual, you know, shops. In the meantime, here are the residential area, and I love the way it actually came out so far. This here is something that I've seen done in actual towns, in actual cities in Russia. In particular, if you look over, say, Pripyat, I know, great example, but it actually is a great example because Pripyat was built around the idea that everyone who walks in there will be walking on the electro station. And we have the factory that everybody will be walking in. So what they usually would do is they usually would create several buildings, one of them in the letter N shape, you know. So the buildings themselves would serve as some sort of, you know, border for the inner area. And then in the inner area they would have, I don't know, a child's, you know, ground, not ground, whatever, the slides for children, area for parking, just, you know, little park for people to walk around, which was very convenient for the residents until the electric station blew up. So let's not talk about that, shall we? It didn't blow up because of the city planning, it blew up for other reasons we will not be discussing here. But another thing I picked up here is that this closed down type of area is great for the residential, but it is not well for the logistics because now you have to navigate it somehow. And I was under the problem. I really wanted to lock down and connect this building to this one hill, right? So the area would be absolutely locked down and closed down. And at the same time, that would mean that if you want to go to the market, you have to walk out of your stupid villager house and go all the way here and around the portal, and maybe then by the time, you know, the sun is setting, you will make your way here. So what I decided to do instead is I decided to break this build down into two, but then do something they really did do in even in the town I live in, even in the city I live in. This is the type of architecture I actually do see every now and again, where there is a passage into the inner area within the residential, you know, the residential mini district, that is just a building connected to another building via an arch. Yeah, why not? Why not have an archway? They don't take up much space, they still allow you to have a really nice big building, and they also allow everybody to pass under it. Until, you know, you discover vehicles and then they don't exactly fit. But let's not talk and think about that. I was thinking one here. Maybe we could put another building like this around here. And then, once all of it is built, yeah, I got a hunch this is gonna be looking pretty. Yeah. I think my English vocabulary needs a bit of a refresher, but other than that, now to develop a palette for these builds, and now to actually maybe at least start building them on the server. This is where my town building and general skills are really kicking into high gear, because I already more or less know how I like building in Minecraft. There's 2 giant buildings worth of it, but I already can tell you that we will be using the stone type materials for the basements. And by basements I mean not actual basement, but fundaments. Just something to base the build up on, just so it doesn't, you know, slowly shift into the ground as if this area is built on the remnants of an actual soggy lake. Point being, for one, the palette is gonna be stone at the bottom. The support pillars will be made out of spruce logs, because they always look more sturdy than they actually would be. The area between the supports will be filled in with the red concrete, or, mind you, either red brick or red nether brick on the bottommost line. That is because the red nether brick does look still pretty bricky. It does look more busy. It does look more visually heavy. And also because you see a brick and you think, oh, it's a brick. It's sturdy. It's not gonna give. Which is why you would build the lowest story out of it. The lowest level of a house out of it. This is some basic, very basic logic, and if you guys already know this, if you guys already have any ideas to support this, do tell me in the comments. And if I actually get to teach you something new, if I learned you a thing here, do let me know also, because that is a rarity on this channel. Point being, imagine we are doing the basement, then we're doing a second basement essentially with the first story, and then the second story is the fun one, because the second story not only gets to go one way further and kind of add depth to the area, but also it's the one with actual proper 2 block tall windows. It's the one with actual variations in the materials, because for example we can do this, and it already looks pretty interesting. We can add something like, I don't know, a window sill over here. You know, that's not the best window sill, but you get my point. We can add, actually, one of my favorite things to do. We can add framing for the windows. We can make the windows themselves be made out of slabs and stairs. All that kind of fun stuff. All of it I have done already. You probably already saw a couple of tutorials on my channel about it. And if you haven't, that's because I haven't made them. But then we reach the toppest part, the toppest level of it, and that's where regular nether brick comes into play. Mixed in with maybe cobblestone, maybe regular brick, well, not regular, stone brick, maybe with nothing. I'm a wild card. I might just not mix it with anything and just have it all be nether brick. And that's when you get something like this. Maybe something like, no, this. And all sorts of bends and slopes and slopey roofs. And I like it. And maybe I will take a little bit of a bend, from this one. Maybe I will sometimes go sideways with it. We'll see. We'll see. I like doing complicated stuff with the build. And I like kind of low-key torturing myself with how complex sometimes it goes. You can probably tell by just gazing over there. But here's the problem though, with that method. Here's the problem. I can't just build one house and be done with it. I need this palette to span over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, approximately 6 houses melted into 4. And I will need a better guide for myself to kind of figure out how to do all of it. So here's what I decided. Here's what I came up with. We will have every house be comprised out of sections of 5. Basically, this here, it's 5 wide. So that's one section. Then we go wildcard, we go depth, we do... we'll take 1 block inwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we mirror that 5 section over here. And now we just have to fill in the middle part, which will probably be the entrance. You know, just in case. And the trick to that is that even if, mind you, 1 of our houses doesn't look good, even if 2 out of 4 houses don't look good, once you actually go airborne, once you actually drop down and go in the middle of the street, your brain will trick you into thinking that this is more elaborate than it is, because you will recognize the pattern. You will tell yourself, oh wait, there are houses there. I can see a skyline. I can see rooftops. This is a city. And that's how it's gonna work. And I know it's gonna work. I know it's gonna work because that's what Foxy's house, Foxy's base is doing to me at the moment. That's why I'm so flipping upset at him, because you look over here and you think, wow, this is elaborate. When in reality it's the same house repeated twice. In the meantime, it occurred to me that this spoiler wall is actually incredibly more visible for Foxy's side than it is for mine. So just quick test. Yep! It is definitely in the render distance. Just all I really wanted. I wonder if I can actually sell, like, ad space on it in the shopping district. Jesse B stopped by to kind of offer me assistance in a, you know, kind of another person, third party looking at stuff kind of type deal. And I wanted her honest feedback on this entire area so far. Right here I got just a little bit of what I call Potomkinsky village, which is when Catherine the Great of Russia was traveling over the land. Potomkin, her general, would sometimes employ the locals to put up shows of like displays of richness and wellness around and like brush up a couple of villages. And those houses with those villages would be absolutely empty, and their only task would to look good and look presentable and create an illusion of wellness in the land. Basically, that's what this is. Especially considering that all of these houses are basically facades with nothing around them. I will be adding the walls naturally, but at a much more later state. And honestly, this is my best way of building in Minecraft. This is my favorite way of building, where you don't have to care about who's gonna live inside. You don't have to care about much of the logistics. You just want it to look believable, and you want it to look good, no matter how cramped the interiors are. And the best part is, villagers don't care either. They will live wherever. You just have to make sure that they have no places to get stuck in. And we'll be doing that a tiny bit later when we actually introduce the villagers. But right now, Jessie Big stopped by. She told me that this is actually looking really nice. But we did together figure out that the dark oak sadly blends tiny bit too well together with the red and with the slabs, not slabs, the shingles, the brick, with the bricks and with the everything else. And I was wondering why is that, because on these buildings, it's the same palette, exactly the same. It just looks so much nicer. And then it hit me. It hit me like a truck. Those houses are on a large enough scale that I can use regular cobble and regular stone brick to break down the contrast between the reds and the thing. But here we don't have that contrast. We have the contrast between the red and the brown, which are adjacent colors. They're not complementary, they're adjacent. So they do blend together, and there's no contrast in between them, even though how bright the red is. So yeah, I don't think I can fix that. And at the same time, I like the way this looks already. But there was one advice that actually Lyarrah offered. And that is to try and swap all of... Why did I craft this? all of the fences of the dark oak variety, and perhaps all of the trapdoors with the spruce ones. So I am gonna try and do that and see if it's any more contrasted, because believe me, like, look at this. This is bright. We need bright. We need contrast. So this is great. I just wonder what it's gonna look like once I actually swap everything for it. And so much later into the day, we got, wow, quite a bit of it done, and quite a bit of it looking pretty sweet. Now, this part, why is there not a door in here? I have no idea. Whatever. Oh, that there. I got a door. Zoop. Great. But we got this more or less not finished, not polished, but put together, and in a very interesting way. We now have an approximate feel of this. We now approximately know what we're dealing with. And on top of that, I even got this little area done. Well, kind of. Basically, I assembled I realized that I can assemble this entire area, this entire district, into one continuous house. So it begins over here, it goes there, turns around, and the wall just continues, the archway, and it will wrap around on this area by the time when I have any effort or time or energy to actually mirror the designs to here. Honestly, at this point, I might actually just continue that hill over here and embed the houses into the hills just to be a jerk, just to not have to mirror anything. Point being, this is now a giant house complex of many apartments, supposedly for many villagers. One day maybe I will even bother with pushing together something for the inside, but the insides really are so crammed. Like, look at this. That on one hand it's not worth doing, and on the other I gotta put together at least the basicest of the floor plan, just because having villagers actually run around here would be amazing. Just imagine this entire mini town coming to life with villagers just buzzing back and forth every morning and every evening. I feel that would be great. And yeah, I especially like this part because I have a very particular vision for this little court in here. For one, I thought that maybe it would be a great idea to create something like a drawing line to add a little bit of life. So imagine that we place a boat over here, and then we and close the gate and leash this boat over here, right? And then we place a boat over here and place it over here. And so this is where what I was talking about comes into place. This is negative space, and you already like feel like this area is more alive just because there are those leads kind of twitching in the wind a little bit. I wish I could put actual banners on them to pretend that it's someone drying their drying their clothes or drying their bed sheets or something like that. But we can still actually do this on the side of the balconies. I could put some workstations around here, just wear off the ground a little bit, add a little bit of a road, just make the entire thing have a little bit more history to it. But all of that is detail work, and detail work, you can't really account for it. It's ultimately always reserved for when you are bored and have nothing to do and don't feel like recording, or don't have the ability to record but can play a little bit. So I'll save this for some other time when it just strikes me and I realize, oh wait, I can do this, this and this. And for now, I'll just focus on finishing all of this and wrapping it onto itself, and maybe, just maybe, evicting all of those bums hanging out in the council and putting them all into the comfortable, okay, not so comfortable, but still functional housing over here. I mean, look, it's literally free real estate. They can't complain. But that's gonna be it for today. Thank you everybody so much for watching. This has been SloyXP. This has been Truly Bedrock. To be continued. Have a good one. Bye bye.